Welcome to the Rock Shop Community Podcast. I'm here with my guest today, Sir Jonathan Strange. What's up, Jonathan?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm really good. I'm extremely busy, but really, really good. How about, so today's good for you. Let's start with Jonathan. What I know about you already is that you're a professional sound engineer. You do DJing, and you're a singer and a artist that creates music. I guess it's kind of electronic music.
Yeah, it vacillates between a lot of influences, but usually synthesizer and weird space sound based.
Very cool. Right. Yeah, I remember your record was like that. It was really cool. And yeah, so amongst those other things, those three things, you said earlier, which was cool, I didn't know about you, was that you originally were intending to do music videos.
Yeah, so it was really, I guess, ironic looking back on it that I was raised and I had an uncle that was a music teacher, and they tried to help me figure out what instrument I wanted to play, and I tried it all, guitar, bass, wanted to play drums, but Mom didn't allow that. Too loud. You don't want to give a teenage kid drums. Unless you're in vicinity of the rock shop, then you might want to get your teenage children drum lessons. But no, so none of them really ever quite vibed with me. Except turntablism and DJing. It was just something so cool about manipulating the records. But anyway, so I wanted to be in the music field, but I didn't know what I would do in the music field. And music videos were always a really cool way for me to translate that creativity, because I would always listen to a song and immediately my imagination would go wild of like what the visual would be before I even understood what music videos were and the relevance of them. So I wanted to get into directing music videos. So that's how I could hang out with all the cool musicians, but not necessarily have to know how to shred. And when I was learning that, in the time it would take, when you have to do effects and editing, you have to render those effects. And it takes, at this time in like 2010, 2011, the technology wasn't up to par. So it would take half hour, 45 minutes to render something that may not even be useful. So I would flip over to GarageBand, start making beats and start experimenting with music. And then by that point I was like, this is more fun than that. Let's just, they're in the same realm. So switched over to making the music and never looked back.
Music adjacent.
Yeah.
Cool. So the film editing stuff, yeah, that's tough. Did you ever make any music videos for any of your songs?
Yes. Yeah. I have a couple of them on YouTube right now. I had a good friend of mine, Angel Fernandez, help me shoot. He was actually my LD when I used to tour with K-pop bands and artists, and he got into directing music videos, and we did a couple really experimental, weird ones. I'm sure you remember my dreadlocks down to my waist.
Yes.
One of them, in the middle of the song, we came up with this idea to cut my dreadlocks in the middle. I had this big saxophone solo in the middle of the song. Sax player couldn't make it to the music video shoot. So we were like, what could we do? I'm kind of over this hair. Let's do this shot where we pan around a mirror. You have your hair, you walk up to it and start cutting it. And as the time pans around, you have no hair. And you could see that on YouTube. It's a song called Know This. Yeah, that is still available on YouTube, I'm pretty sure.
Cool. And under Jonathan Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And for those of you who don't know, LD is lighting designer.
Yes.
Yes. So that would be somebody who is like the lighting guy, that like if you're noticing bands have like cool light shows and stuff, it's usually not automated. It's usually there's a person who's controlling those. Mm-hmm. Modern technology shows that are super intense and super driven do have some automation in them, but most have a live person whose job it is to do all that, which is so fun and so artistic, and people don't understand how fun it really is to just know a song and be able to kind of illuminate it in more ways than one. Cool. So that's really fascinating. So I've never seen any of your music videos. I should check them out. So you could just search Jonathan Strange on YouTube, or is there anything specific? Strange music?
It may help to. So I spell my name. I realized this as I was forming my music career. So the name Jonathan Strange comes from a book that my mom got me when I was a little kid. It's called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It's like magic in old England. Like magic has been outlawed, and these are the magicians trying to bring it back, more or less. And I fell in love with this book, and I wanted to use that as my stage name, but they had just made a BBC show based on the book, and I was worried about getting sued for using this intellectual property. I hope Susanna Clark isn't listening, but
I hope she is.
and so what I did was I changed in Strange, I spell it with I think the letter is called an aether, or it's the AE combined into one letter, and it looks cool when you draw it out and you put it on a sticker or a logo. But I realized that nobody knows how to type that letter, so it makes it increasingly hard to find my stuff. But I kind of like it like that. So you gotta really search for it and dig for it.
You gotta know to know.
You could also find it through my record label, Disclosure Records. All of the music videos should be on their YouTube channel as well.
Very cool. Yeah, the whole naming of your musical self is very difficult to kind of navigate if you don't have somebody to give you advice. Joey, one of the instructors, Joey Calfa, speaking to him, he's smart, and he said, no, you have to have two words that don't usually go together. So like his band was called Cousin Earth.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
And it was an intentional thing, because if you Google Cousin Earth, they're the #1 hit.
Sure.
Because it's the only thing that has those two things combined. So you really do have to consider what you're naming yourself. I made the mistake of letting Robbie Krieger actually influence me, which was he messed up my name on stage. I was on stage with him performing, and he goes, "What's your name, man?" And I go, "Dylan Kelehan." And he goes, "All right, everybody, that was Dylan." Totally fucked it up. So I was like, oh shit, I got to have a better stage name. So I changed it to Dylan K-A-Y.
Yeah.
But that was even stupider, because now if you search me, 100 Dylan K's come up. I should have just stuck with my guns, Dylan Kelehan, and ran with that, because there's only one.
Yeah. But then there's the other mentality where I see it a lot in the electronic music world, where people will take a already known name and flip the first two letters. Like there's one of my favorite guys is Tom Cruise, is Tom Cruise,
right.
But he just flipped the letters and he makes this weird like 80s style synthesizer music. But it's so weird and out there that it kind of catches you off guard.
That's interesting. Yeah, there's so many approaches to it, like Organ Freeman.
Yep.
Yeah.
My favorite one I saw, it was actually on one of the flyers at Mazstock when I was waiting for my gig meal, and I'm reading, and I say, Rubik's Pube. And I was like, I have no idea what music it is, but I'm very curious. Like, it's one of those things that just catches you where if it wasn't as silly and weird, I might not have picked up on it. Like, I'm a big record collector, and when I go in record stores, there's at least a whole shelf of records I've bought just based on like how cool the art is or how weird and out there the name is. And it's a hit or miss. Like 50% of the time I'll want to keep it.
Right.
But it's worth the investment to follow the weird things that make you giggle.
Yes. As a self-declared silly goose, I really love when people don't take themselves so seriously and can just laugh at a dad joke or do some kind of wordplay, even if it's terrible, but it's supposed to be funny, and life is so lighthearted. There's so many heavy things out there. Why can't we just laugh? Anyway, that's an aside, totally.
This is the philosophy podcast.
Well, that's the thing is anything goes, man. You know, if you really want to go there, it's just like, look, there's this outside world that you really can't do much to affect if you want to have a life. If you want to sit there and like be an activist or something, sure, you can make some effect and affect some real change and whatnot out there. But for the most part, if you want to have friends, family, a job, you can't sit there thinking about all that existential stuff out there.
It'll eat you alive.
It'll kill you, and you see it. You see it. It's so bad for your mentality. So for me personally, my philosophy is, look, within these walls of the rock shop, within my own brain, my own mentality, my own family, my own friendships, my own reality, I can affect that. Mm-hmm. And the rest is just whatever it is. But aside from that, sorry, we're talking about you, not about me. So if you got into music when you were in your teens, when were you like, you got into like making it and really getting down? Before that, like, what kind of music did you listen to? Was there like a mentor of some kind who put you onto this path?
So I had a lot of those growing up. My mom was a really big influence guy. I was raised by a single mom, so I spent a lot of time with her. And she had this very eclectic taste of music. Like, she put me on to everything from the Beatles to Earth, Wind and Fire, Aretha Franklin, Tower of Power, stuff like that. So I got a lot of like funk and classic rock influence from her. And then my uncle Richie, the music teacher I was talking about earlier, was big into jazz and stuff like that. So I would try to pick up on the stuff that he was into. And later on in life, his son James Hart, who was kind of like my studio mentor, and taught me a lot of stuff growing up, when I was around 15, 16, started getting me into like electronic music, and I was getting more into hip hop and finding my voice that way. I started in the hip hop realm. I really wanted to be a rapper. I was always really good at poetry and writing, and there's something about the English language and the way words could interact with each other. And like double entendres, big like MF Doom, references within references, nerd shit kind of, that really piqued my interest. And I had a good friend who's still one of my best friends on this planet, Lou Filthy, who was a local rapper. And I went to him and I was like, hey, I could do this. Like, put me on, this little 16-year-old suburban white kid. Like, hey, I got bars. And he said, okay, prove it. Go and record a mixtape and come back to me. Bring it to me, and I'll put you on if you show the effort. And that was around the time when I was digging into GarageBand, and I kind of got my mom to, I would say, hey, like, let me stack up like 3 or 4 birthday presents, Christmas presents, and get me a laptop and Pro Tools and a microphone. And this was like, YouTube, I think, was around, but it wasn't the YouTube it is now. I just guerrilla styled, like, read everything that I could, watched everything I could, and taught myself Pro Tools. Recorded this mixtape on shitty quality, like, MP3 beats off the internet. And I went back to Lou and I was like, here's my mixtape. And he looked at me like, oh shit, I really wasn't expecting you to do that. And he liked it. And ever since then, that's been like one of my biggest inspirations. So
incredible.
Yeah, between those few people, that's what got me here today, I guess, making music.
Incredible. That's incredible. The fact that you taught yourself via YouTube is fantastic. It's just fantastic. It's a testament to say that, like, if you're going to be in the arts, it's just about grit.
Yeah.
Why would you go to school?
Yeah.
I went to school for audio.
Well, I went to school for audio.
I learned more.
Yeah.
In interning at a recording studio, than in one day than I learned in the entirety of my 2 years at school. And I mean that. And then I went on tour with a band as part of my internship. I learned more about band life in a weekend tour with a band than I did at 2 years of college. So I really believe, and again, this isn't about me, but it's liberal gatekeeping is what it's of colleges, and Republican gatekeeping doesn't matter. It's just gatekeeping. It's like, oh, you here, learn this, but it's, and here's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You don't need it anymore. YouTube is what it is now. If you have strive and like determination, it's good to have people to check in with, like mentors and whatnot. But what really matters is you.
Yeah.
And if you put the work in, and if you have the desire and you have the hustle and just to keep the follow through. So that's fantastic. I love that story. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Man.
That it was, I had an engineer, one of the first engineers that Lou used to bring me to, this guy, Chance One. He went to, I forget what college he went to, and he was great, gifted engineer and musician. But whenever he couldn't figure something out, he would go to YouTube, and he used to make this joke, YouTube University. And it was a real thing. So I did the YouTube University thing for as long as I could, until my cousin James kind of tapped me, and he's like, oh, this kid kind of knows what he's doing. Let's take this from shitty mixtape rap to you come hang out with me in my studio, and we'll record jazz bands and work on like real band music. And he was the one that kind of pushed me to take it to the next level outside of just recording vocals in my bedroom. And at the same time, I was also going to SUNY Purchase, and I loved it there. It was such a great atmosphere, and I learned a lot, and I made a lot of connections. But not once in my 10 years of doing this have I ever been asked for the little piece of paper, the receipt that says I went to the building. But a lot of the stuff that I learned was getting my hands dirty with James in the studio. And you think, like, you can learn so much in a classroom, right? But you don't really know, especially in music, like you really don't know it until you do it. And like you said, like touring with bands, when I got into live sound, I thought I was the shit. I thought I could mix anything. And then I got thrown to the wolves, and I was like, no, it's time to learn. Let me go hang out with Kevin Lacey for a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he was another one of my he's my Obi-Wan Kenobi, as I like to say. So it's like you can learn so much by yourself, but it's really about the people that you choose to surround yourself with, whether it's a mentor-mentee relationship or just like hanging out, that you kind of, especially at that age, I became a sponge for everything I was experiencing.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love it. Yeah, of course. You just like have a little help from your friends. And so, yeah, you're now, are you recording anything now that's you're going to release anytime soon?
So me and James have a project together called Knights of Petra that is very, it's like world music, electronic, very world influenced, but still in that electronic, experimental hip hop kind of world. We have our second album that we just finished production on. It's in the mastering process right now. And hopefully we're thinking that should be out summer, fallish, but I'm really excited about it because I kind of, you know, James was a touring rock bass player for a while, and he, you know, I love rock music, and I have a very a big affinity for it. And him and our partner Scott Reeves, who's a brilliant guitar player, kind of helped give me the palette to express some of these rock ideas that I had. And, you know, like I wrote a couple songs, James wrote a couple songs, Scott wrote a song, and we kind of compiled them all together. And as we're mixing it, I would turn to James and be like, I think we fucked around and wrote a rock opera. I love this so much. And it's like, you know, music has always been a therapeutic thing for me.
Yeah.
And growing up, I never really looked back and listened to my own music, but this is one of the first few times that like I listened to it and I'm like, oh, I would just listen to this for fun. This is great.
That's incredible.
So I'm very excited for that.
When's that come out?
We're aiming for either the end of the summer or the fall. We're going to print that up on vinyl once we decide what cool things we want to do with the disc and the art and whatnot. And then I'm also working on my next solo album, which is more house music, dance, disco influenced, funk, just real have fun and dance with your friends in a dark room to bleep bloops kind of stuff. But it makes me happy.
Molly.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow, very cool. So you got a lot of good original stuff coming out. That's amazing. I'm really happy for you. It's just so the creative process is my favorite process to go through. I would do more of it. It's just I can't find a way to make money with it. Unfortunately, it's never
In this economy?
Well,
Come on now.
For me, I have everything I do, has to be kind of focused around that because I have a family and all that.
Sure.
It's intense. So that's why I play a lot of covers. It's just because
But you got a great thing going with the rock shop here. Like,
Yeah.
it was cool to see because, like, I don't remember how we met, but I remember how we became friends, and it was sweating and screaming at people in bars, playing Rage Against the Machine tunes. And to see, I remember you opened the original shop like around the pandemic times,
2020, December.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, good luck and Godspeed. But I'm sitting here like, come on, I hope it works. And to see it go from that to like this, you were in a different building,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And to see like coming in today and seeing all the art everywhere and all the different guitars you guys have and how much and the practice rooms and how much you've built up this place. It's really cool. And it's something that I was talking to, Jeff about outside was that growing up around here, it was always such an arts and music driven community, and it always felt like we could use more music shops and places for people to take lessons. There was always a handful of them in Rockland County, but it's cool to have a central location for that now, I think.
Thanks, man.
It's useful.
Thank you. I can't believe it's all happening. It's so fun. I'm like, this is crazy. Why is this so fun? This is so fun talking to you.
Yeah.
As part of my job. It's so fun playing music. And it's not drama free or anything like anything, but it's like, comes back to the same thing is I can control a lot of what happens within these walls here. I can't control anything outside of them. So it's really fun to have a kind of a sanctuary outside of Hook Mountain. Hook Mountain's my other one.
Oh, yeah.
But this is my safe space. It's my zone in here. It's really cool. I highly recommend anyone do that for themselves. Like, you work for yourself. You work as an independent contractor type guy, right? For like sound gigs.
Yeah, so I do a lot of freelance work. My main house gig is over at Garcia's at the Capitol Theater. So I'm mainly over there, but when I'm not there, maybe when I should be sleeping, I am also mixing other bands in a freelance capacity, yeah.
And DJing and mixing in a live sound sense. And you do a lot of DJ gigs. I see that often, which is great. But like, do you technically work for Garcia's inside the Cap, or are you an independent contractor?
I am. I work for the Capitol Theater, yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So it's not like a gig thing.
No. When I my first year there, I think I was kind of just more of a fill-in guy. But then once I took over as production manager at Garcia's, then I became staff there.
Now, most people have no idea what production manager means. I would like to explore that a little bit.
Sure.
I would think that production manager, like if I didn't know what I know, I'd be like, I wouldn't know what a production. It would just be words. So if you would take a minute or two to just explain what you do.
Sure. So on top of mixing the bands and doing the lights when I am in the building, what a production manager does is pretty much makes sure that everything to throw the concert is there and functioning. So what I will do is once we get a booking, like I've done this with Live and Unplugged, where I'll get an email down the line that says, hey, Live and Unplugged is playing at this date. Here's the contact emails. And I'll reach out to the band and I'll say, hey, I'll introduce myself. Hey, I'm John from Garcia's at the Cap. I will schedule. I will say, hey, you should show up and load in at this time. We'll sound check at this time. Doors are this time. You play at this time. So you're setting up the schedule. You I will get the stage plot from the band, which is, I mean, but for the listeners, it's essentially a drawing that shows where everything goes on the stage. Like the drums are usually in the back center, guitar here, bass here, vocal mics, yada, yada. And I will check that and make sure that we have everything that is capable to accomplish that. And if not, maybe deal with rentals, pretty much just overseeing everything that makes the concert happen from a band and production standpoint.
And the details, the technical details are all very important to musicians and very important to venues because they have to make sure that everything is correct. One thing that just kind of crossed my mind, what was the worst band you ever mixed?
That's a very loaded question.
You don't have to say their name, but give me the story. I want to hear the story. And I mean worst sounding.
Worst sounding.
That you just couldn't. You were just like, I can't. Good in, good out is what engineers usually say. And then
yeah, you can't polish a turd.
Lipstick on a pig, whatever.
Yeah. Let's see. It definitely wasn't live and unplugged.
You could say, I could take it, man.
In the freelance world, I'll find myself in a lot of situations where it would sometimes be run and gun, and you show up and you show up expecting like, oh, you guys advanced, what we call advancing, all that contacting with the band and the venue to make sure everything's going to be right. You guys advanced a trio, and you showed up with a trio plus a horn section plus 2 backup singers plus this plus that, and it's a whole bunch of stuff that I wouldn't be expecting. So that's always a nightmare. I'm still trying to think of worst sounding that I can give away, but like the ones where there's a genre of music that I like to call dad bands. I didn't coin that term, but it's accurate because you get a bunch of people that have been amateurishly playing music for their whole lives, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's great, but when you have to know where your place is and like where your sound lies, I guess, and to have bands that get that rock star mentality of they come in and think like, oh, this is it, I'm here for a reason, and then it's like, no, you're here because you booked a date at a place, and so having certain bands will come in thinking, you think you're playing for 1,000 cap room, but you're playing for like 50 people in a park, and you have to manage a band's expectations. And that's something that is not difficult. It just takes the right manner of speaking to someone to be able to help them. Because at the end of the day, my job is to make whoever's performing sound as good as I possibly can, right? Good in, good out.
Right.
And half of that is, how do I tell this person to turn their amp down without them getting offended and thinking that it's something personal, when really I'm just trying to, if your amp is this level, I can make you sound like this in the PA, and it's going to sound much better for the people out there. Translating that to musicians is crucial in a lot of those situations.
They all have massive egos. One thing,
not all of them, just most of them. No, most of them are really cool. It's honestly like it's a big stereotype, but it's really honestly more rare that I have to deal with those kind of attitudes and those kind of like situations nowadays, because of I've spent long enough to get myself into the niche that I live in, so to speak. And everybody's just pretty chill in the hippie jam band world. True.
Very true. One thing I will say about the dad bands, and you said there's nothing wrong with it, and there kind of is nothing wrong with it. It's cool to be a dad band. What we're referring to is amateurish musicians or who never tried to make a living doing it, and they're going to get together with their buddies once a week and, not poorly, but not like expertly pull off playing music together, right? And then what they do is then they go out and they play bars and stuff like that. And that's all well and good, with one exception, is these men and women don't care about how much they get paid because they're just doing it for fun. So, this might sound like a jaded musician thing, but that's actually bad for our industry, because if they go and they play a bar for $400 because there's 4 people in there, that's the same pay that musicians have been getting since like the 90s. So it stays there because people will take that money. They will take that low.
Because they're just doing it for fun. At
Yes.
the end of the day, it's just a bonus that they get paid.
And they don't play very often, so they can bring a ton of their friends who are their age as well and who are happy to have an excuse to get out of the house. So, I guess the moral of that story is just ask for the right money, if you're going to just do free gigs or low paying gigs, I don't know, don't do them in places where musicians are trying to make a living, or like, I don't know how to like really fix that,
Yeah. I don't know if there is a way to fix it. I mean, it's kind of a similar thing in the DJ world, is that there will be so many people, because it's like a popular thing to do, that there will be so many people that just want to do it. And that's great. I love that people want to do it and get into it, and I think more people should, because it expands your understanding of music and your musical palette. But when you have people, like you said, that are trying to make a living, and I do this for X amount of money, oh well, I can get this person that does it for half the price, why shouldn't I go with this one? And I could sit there until I'm blue in the face and explain to you why you should go with the person who is more knowledgeable and maybe costs a little more because of that. But people don't want to sit and listen to that. They just want to pay less money for things, which I also get that too, to a certain extent. But it's hard for people that aren't in this profession, in the whatever your creative art is, for people that don't think creatively for a living, let's say. To get that concept into their brain of like, no, this person, like, oh, you have the most fun job ever. Isn't it great? Yeah, it is. But it's really hard. It's harder than you expect it to be. And people have to make a living off of that. It's not just like, there's the old joke of like, this gig pays an experience. Well, coincidentally, my rent is one experience. Like, it's a shame, but that is what it is.
It is what it is. Exposure gigs. And we were discussing this previously, is the Rock Shop here does a lot of exposure gigs as our form of advertising. We still do it. And one funny thing that just happened was, the Garnerville Art Center, which is a wonderful institution.
I love that place.
They were putting on like a festival for their like a concert, a 2-day concert. And they asked the Rock Shop if we would do it. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, sounds good. And I was like, there's any pay? And he says, no, there's no pay. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And then he goes, if you know anybody, do you know anyone else who'll do it? And I go, well, I do probably, but I don't feel comfortable asking anyone to come do it for free. Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, well, we can't pay you because it's, you're like a commercial business. He goes, but we could pay them. And I go, wait a minute. Let me just understand this. You're asking me to do a ton of work, but because it's good exposure for me, which it is,
yeah,
I don't get any money. But if I have a friend who has a band, which is good exposure for them too, you'll pay them? And he's like, that's right. And I'm like,
you just got to have an outfit change. You got to channel your inner Frankie D. You got to have 5 outfits in the back, and you just come in, you advance the gig as Dylan Kelehan, but Dylan K shows. That's how you get them.
So this was to me, it was just, and I literally said all these things to this man, and he thought that I was being rude. Maybe I was, but I was being more like honest, of like kind of feeling a little disrespected because of that. So anyway, I do continue to agree to this gig. And then he sends me this email. He says, can you confirm these details? And it has like load in stuff on there. Turns out that our slot was at 1:00, but you have to load in at 10 a.m. and then you have to wait because that's when you can get your car in. And then to load out, you have to wait until the festival is over, which is like 6. And then you can load out. So my 1 hour, which was probably going to be more like 4 hours of work, just turned into like 16. So I go to the guy, hey man, I'm really, really sorry. I know the festival is 2 weeks away. I just can't do this. I have to bail. I can't spend my entire day for no money. I just can't do it. I can't
it's understandable when it's like a couple hours for a little exposure for your shop. That's a little more reasonable than having a whole day's worth of work for maybe
0.
a little bit of exposure. Like it's hard.
So the guy, he calls me after this and he just yells at me.
Oh no.
And he's just yelling at me and I'm listening. I'm being there for him, and I'm like, I'm just letting him get it out. And once he gets it all out and he's like so mad. I'm like, so I'm still not doing the gig, right? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, and then I go, well, then what was the purpose of this phone call? And
I bet you he felt like a little bit better though.
Yeah, of course
a little
he did.
bit.
Of
It
course
was a self-serving phone call.
That's exactly what was my point, Tim.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be rude, but I wanted to call a spade. But that was it. Poor guy. Sorry, buddy. I really didn't mean to pull out on you. Anyway, I'm sure like exposure gigs are exposure gigs. This is a great topic that I could talk about blue in the face, tell him blue in the face.
Because every musician has to do it. It's like, that's the hard part about it, is that every musician has to work through it eventually in their career to give themselves perspective. I was blessed with the idea of if they can get you for a nickel, you'll never make a dime. And I had it was either James or Richie, I can't remember who instilled this idea in me, where it was like you have to have a certain value of your work, whatever that work is, right? And the more you compromise that value, the more other people won't recognize the value. They'll just see the compromise, right? And it goes back to that. If they can get you for a certain price, you'll never make this price, because people from the outside perspective will always just see that outside perspective. Nobody will ever be as connected to your art as you are.
Yeah.
So if you hold yourself at a high enough value, people will start to recognize that.
Right.
And it's the old show and tell, or show and prove kind of thing.
Right.
If you show up and rock a house, people talk about it and it shows.
Yeah, it's super interesting, this topic. I'm really learning so much about it and how to value yourself and all the various things. But so, yeah, you got the 2 records coming out. Is yours already in the can and getting mastered too, your personal one?
No, I am still tooling away on that. Every time I think it's done, I'll start another song. And then me and one of my close friends, DJ SC1, we make a lot of music together, and we will, he puts out a lot of stuff and I'll be working on stuff, and we'll send stuff back and forth and listen to each other's music. And I'm like, oh wait, no, I got to do one more song. And we kind of just like try to one up each other, I guess, as friends tend to do.
Right.
So, it's tentatively done, but I say that to say I may sit down at my MPC and make something tonight. And be like, no, it's got to have one more song. Got to have one more song. It's not done.
That's exciting. So, and then you have your Garcia's gig, which is killer, and then you do a lot of freelance stuff. I know you work with Safe and Sound, and then you do the DJ stuff. So you're doing a lot of stuff. Would you say that you're going to kind of hang in this zone for a little while, or do you have any other loftier goals or any other future aspirations?
I always like to do bigger and better gigs. I mean, I spent up until COVID, I was touring around. I say up and down the world because we did Mexico and Canada, but we didn't do like Europe and Asia with K-pop bands. So that was a really fun experience, and I was happy that I got touring out of the way. I would go tour again if the right band hit me up and I wanted to hear the same music over and over again. I'm always like hoping to mix in bigger rooms with bigger bands. My main lofty goals, I guess, are trying to promote our DJ crew that me and SC1 have, the Soul Call series, where we are a group of local house, funk, and disco DJs that we just love to get together and make people dance. So I've been really focusing on, or we have been focusing on trying to get that into bigger rooms and louder sound systems because louder is always better. We were just talking about the Spinal Tap joke out there of our amps go to 11. So
On louder.
Yep. So yeah, I'd really like to focus a lot more on that. And just, yeah, taking it all as it comes. That's the fun part about having enough avenues. I try not to spread myself too thin, but having enough avenues where it's like, okay, one night I'm at Garcia's mixing a Grateful Dead tribute. One night I'm DJing at this club, making people dance. One night I'm doing like a local community event with Safe and Sound. Keeping that novelty and what's the word I'm looking for? Keeping things different
and fresh
every time, and fresh is a big thing for me, because even though we do what we love, you play the same song over and over again, and you never want to play that song again, and it gets really boring. So I always try to shake things up and make it interesting.
Sure. I could play Comfortably Numb every single day of my life.
Everybody has that one.
I could.
Is that the one?
Any Pink, actually, really just
any
any Pink Floyd music. If I did it for a while, it never got on my nerves at all. None of them did. Not one of those songs ever. But again, being in this particular life, you nailed it. It's you got to just, you never know what you're going to get. You show up to this new venue. There's a new band. There's new this. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. As you also said, not easy. And not for the faint of heart. So, okay, cool. So you're thinking perhaps you're going to do bigger venues. You're going to keep making music. You're going to keep DJing. You're at a DJ collective. Great. So where can everybody find all of your information if they want to book you to do a sound gig or a DJ gig or check out your music? Do you have it all in one place? Where can we learn more about you?
Sure. You could find me on social medias. I'm not as big of a Facebook person, but there is a Facebook page. There mostly on Instagram, Jonathan.Strange, spelt regularly without the weird letter that nobody knows how to type.
Nice move.
You can find my music via Disclosure Records on both vinyl and digital. It's on all streaming platforms. You can find the Soul Call series in all of those same places, Knights of Petra in all of those same places. And, reach out, email me, jonathanstrange.music@gmail.com. Yeah, once you get past your early 30s, you have to think about things that even though you type every day. So I think that's all the places you could contact me. And, yeah, I hope to see you guys on the dance floor sometime.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much, and thank you to The Rock Shop. You can check us out at therockshopnyack.com and all the socials and all that. Man, this was so fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure, we got to do it again because there's so many more things I want to ask you.
Yeah, we didn't even get into Casa Jams.
I know. We got a history.
We could do a whole Strange Against the Machine podcast.
Yes,
or a Dark Side of the Hudson. Now wish we were Floyd.
Yes. Well, I just wanted to learn about you, because we already have a big history together. So there's a ton of stuff. Rather than have like a bro moment of like reminisce, remember when, I wanted to learn more. So
yeah.
Thank you so much. This was so fun, and it should be out soon. Yeah. Thanks again, man.
Thanks.
All right. Peace, everybody. Bye.